and thank you for joining us for today's session of Turn Enterprise Data into Actionable AI Agents using Model Context Protocol in 3 steps with Informatica and DZone. I'm Katie Bavoso, and I'm so excited to be your host today. We're thrilled to have with us 2 incredible product experts from Informatica, Vivin Nath, Director of Product Management, and Shivank Shukla, Principal Product Manager. During today's session, Vivin and Shivank will guide you through how to transform enterprise data platforms into dynamic AI-driven capabilities using the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. You'll not only hear best practices, but also see a live demo that shows exactly how to build MCP clients and servers for streamlined AI agent workflows. Before we begin, a couple of quick housekeeping notes. Feel free to use the chat feature to share your thoughts during today's presentation, and please drop your questions in the Q&A box as they come up. We'll get to as many as we can at the end. Now, let's kick things off. Please join me in welcoming Vivin Nath and Shivank Shukla. Vivin, why don't you get us started?
Thank you, Katie. And welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. Let me get the safe harbor out of the way. And in the agenda, we have a packed agenda. So over the next 45 minutes, you'll see we'll talk about what is MCP, why the need for MCP. We'll talk about how Informatica helps you with more MCP. And we'll follow it up with a real live demo from Shivank and some Q&A. Now, let me start with a very simple truth. LLMs, as you know, cannot actually do anything. They can generate text, but they can't access your database, read your files, or interact with your master data management systems. So now you might think, okay, let's just connect tools to our LLMs. But here's the problem. This is quickly becoming a nightmare. Every LLM will need custom integration for every tool. And when you switch your LLM provider from, say, OpenAI to Claude Anthropic, you will have to rebuild everything. And when you add a new database, you write integrations for each and every AI model or LLM. Now, what if we approach this problem very differently? Think about USB-C. Now, before USB-C, every device needed its own cable. Your printer had one connector, your monitor had another one, your keyboard yet another. And before USB-C, every device needed its own cable. Your printer had its own connector, your monitor had its own connector, and the keyboard had its own. Now, with USB-C, it gives you one standard so that multiple devices can connect to it instantly. Now, that's exactly what MCP does for AI agents. It's the USB-C for AI, one protocol that lets any AI ML model connect to any enterprise. So you write once and use everywhere. So why do we desperately need this standardization? Every organization faces these same 5 challenges. First, every AI tool requires custom integrations for each data source, and that increases the complexity exponentially. Second, data silos prevent AI models from accessing complete context behind the firewall in the enterprise. So your AI might see customer data but not order history. Third, there is no standardized way to maintain context across tools. Information gets lost between handoffs. Fourth, security and governance are implemented very inconsistently across the enterprise. Each integration has its own security, authorization, authentication models. And all this could result in vulnerabilities. And lastly, it's nearly impossible to scale. Every new data source means rewriting integrations for every AI model, and that is really unsustainable. Enter MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol. It's an open protocol that standardizes how applications and tools provide context to large language models. The goal is simple, but very powerful: to simplify and standardize how AI agents and models access and control external entities. Think of it like creating a universal language between AI and your enterprise systems. MCP connects AI models with your tools, datasets, and APIs through a single protocol. It abstracts away all the complexity, such as transport layers, data engines, or authentication mechanisms. It ensures data arrives in the correct format to populate the context windows. It provides rich metadata about how tools connect to agents, and not only that, but how what tools exist and how they connect to the agents as well. And most critically, it allows for tool discovery and dynamic updates. Your AI agents can ask what tools are available and get the real time answers. And if you add a new capability, every AI agent immediately knows about it. Now, MCP delivers critical transformative benefits. So, first is interoperability. It can work across all vendors and models that are MCP compliant. It has real time capabilities. So, MCP enables live data access and external actions. So, your agents can read current inventory levels and immediately update them, for instance. It's an open ecosystem and it's widely adopted, and it's growing rapidly fast. So, all the major players are contributing and creating a rich ecosystem of compatible AI tools. And lastly, it's standardized. So, it's one spec with multiple tools. So, you just need to learn and build MCP once and apply it everywhere. So, there is no more vendor lock in and no more proprietary protocols with this. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper into why MCP is necessary in the enterprise, right? We talked about standardized integration, right? It eliminates the custom code for every model tool combination. Instead of writing hundreds of integration, you write once an MCP server, and this creates an ecosystem of reusable tools that works with any MCP compatible AI agent or LLM. I talked about dynamic discovery, and that means agents don't need pre-configured tool list. Agents can query servers in real time. This enables truly adaptive AI systems. There's also context-rich decision making that is built in. MCP exposes metadata that helps agents choose between similar tools, and the agent knows not to use just the tools that exist, but which one is better for the current task. MCP also enables multi-agent systems where agent access both clients as well as servers. So one agent can discover and delegate activity to a specialized agent, so which can create in turn a very sophisticated multi-agentic workflows. Finally, it's all about, it gives you robustness and flexibility. um, so components can be swapped without breaking anything. You can add new tools and agents and agents can automatically adapt based on that. You can remove any outdated systems or outdated systems, and nothing will crash. Now, let me take you through the MCP architecture, right? So, there is the MCP host. These are programs that use LLMs at the core that want access to data through the MCP protocol. And then there is the MCP client, and clients maintain those one on one connections with the servers. Now, MCP host and MCP client most often are physically the same box. So, you think of like an AI agent. So in an AI agent, the MCP host and client are exactly the same. So it's all both physically reside the same way, but conceptually is different. MCP server, on the other hand, are, think of it like lightweight programs that each client will expose with specific capabilities through the model context protocol. And then you have different kinds of tools, right? Whether it's local data sources like databases, file system, or it could be even remote applications over the internet, whether it's through APIs or applications as well. Now, Every MCP server exposes three core primitives. First is tools. Tools are designed to be model controlled. So if we provide agency to our application or how it should interact with the environment, we should use tools. And MCP server exposes as an endpoint that can list all the tools that are available with the descriptions, the schemas, and the required arguments. And the application can then pass this list to the LLM so that it can decide which tool to use and for what particular task. The next is resources. Now, resources are designed to be application controlled. Resources can be any kind of data, whether it's text or binary, that can be used by the application and built to utilize LLMs. The programmer of the application, usually an engineer, is responsible for codifying how this information should be used by the application. The third primitive is prompts or prompt templates, and these are designed to be user controlled. So programmer of this MCP server can expose specific prompts on how to use this particular tool, and that can be injected into the application using LLMs and exposed to the user of the given application or the AI agent themselves. Now, with all this in mind, at Informatica, we built and launched AI agent engineering. Now, AI agent engineering is one place where you can build agents and MCP clients and connect agents across the enterprise, including to other tools and MCP servers, and manage and govern and deploy them at scale. And there are three key components of this. The first is the build layer. So we provide a no-code AI agent, AI native experience where you can see, you can use a no-code tooling to build AI agents. You can use AI for AI, where we can use users can use the Copilot to build their AI agents and MCP clients. And most often, we also notice that a lot of these AI agents tend to be chatbots. So what we have done is we've given a way for users to design and test in the same canvas. So you can embed these AI agents in your chatbots, or whether it's your Teams or Slack applications as well. And more importantly, we also provide a test and eval framework which allows users to build and evaluate their AI agents on an ongoing basis. The next key component is what we call as the Connect framework. So as part of this, we built something called as Agent Hub. Agent Hub is a place where users can come to discover AI agents, use them, build, customize them, and also share them within the enterprise. So you don't have to start from scratch as you're building AI agents. You can actually use those templates with what we call as agent recipes and use them to customize to your liking. It also comes with something called as a tool hub, where you can see existing set of tool sets inside AI agent, whether it's unstructured data processing, whether it's Google Serper tools, whether it's web crawler tools, whether it's a lot of Python libraries that you can use. In fact, a lot of your LangChain or Llama Index tool sets that you built, you can bring that directly into AI agent and consume and use them. And most importantly, we also have something called a skill hub, where you can turn your existing Informatica assets, whether it's application integration workflows, data integration mappings, data quality rules, MDM artifacts, or apps, you can reuse them to make your AI agents more accurate. The third part is what I call about is the MCP administration and AI agent administration governance. And all this is very critical. You want to make sure once you build your AI agents, they're governed securely. Only the right people have the right access, and they have the right authentication policies. And all these capabilities are available as part of our AI agent engineering, including Agent Hub, the no-code interface, the third-party integrations that I talked about with Tool Hub, the Skill Hub, where you can discover all this different native capabilities, including AI Gateway, which can give you rate limiting, security, operational policies for your AI agents as well. And we have many different use cases of how you can use these MCP tools. One of them is um, MCP tools for shared data services. For instance, AI agents lack standardized access to shared enterprise data services. So organizations, typically struggle with manual provisioning, inconsistent address validation, or they're unable to connect to a particular data source or target. Now, with our solution, we expose these common data services through MCP operations. So AI agents can automatically browse catalogs, request data access from a particular data source or target. It can validate data addresses. It can automate data operations. So this creates a unified data services layer with built-in security, approval, workflows, authorization, and usage tracking. And all this is delivered with Informatica hosted MCP servers. So you have flexibility for customers to manage and host their MCP servers themselves, or they can use Informatica's hosted MCP server as well. And it comes with a lot of the enterprise capabilities like the out of the box security, authentication, authorization models, operational policies, rate limitings. So, all that you can imagine, which will help you govern and deploy your workflows at scale, is embedded as part of this. Another common but slightly different use case is uh, where customers want to use MCP tools for composite app. So think about decades of investment in master data management or customer 360 rules or business processes or data quality rules. Now, all that is usually codified inside, Informatica's IDMC, but they're locked behind, human interfaces or not inaccessible for AI agents. Now, with our composite app solution enables AI agents to directly build applications and orchestrate processes and execute this business logic using MCP servers. Agents can gain real-time interaction with master data, automated process triggering, and so on. And they can even execute DI mappings and data quality rule validations. Again, all this capability exists as part of Informatica hosted and served MCP servers, as well as customer managed Informatica servers. The third set of use cases about where you can expose the existing data asset as MCP tools. Now, organizations have built hundreds and thousands of IDMC, Informatica IDMC assets like data integration mappings, data quality rules, application integration workflows. Now, they are again today inaccessible to AI agents, but with this and with MCP servers, it exposes those IDMC assets as callable MCP tools so that your AI agents can discover and execute them directly. And that makes those AI agents more accurate, more contextual based on your enterprise business processes. And not only that, this AI agents can execute tenant specific data integration mappings for data transformation, can run data quality rules for validation, it can trigger your jobs with the right parameters and retrieve results, all while maintaining the same enterprise grade security and governance that IDMC provides. And it also comes integrated with what we call as our cloud data access management authorization. You can use one click action to take your IDMC asset and turn those into MCP servers as well. So let me actually turn it over to Shivank, who will take you through real life demos on how you can use all the MCP capabilities, whether it's creating MCP servers as well as consuming that in MCP clients. So Shivank, take it away.
Thank you, Bevin. I'm really excited to walk through the demo today. And I really feel that audience will have a lot of takeaways from this session. And I completely echo your viewpoint, Vivin, that MCP has become the universal language for AI agents to interact with the tools. So before I start, what I will do is I'll give a brief context about the demo scenario so that audience today can appreciate what we are going to demonstrate as part of the actual product demo. And in this demo, we have taken a very common problem that most of enterprises and especially sales organizations in enterprises face today, right? So these sales people get bombarded with a lot of leads from different channels, and it becomes really kind of problematic for them to manage this huge number and identify the right lead that can be converted. And this kind of leads to missed sales opportunities and high cost per acquisition, and this is really a challenge that we have been trying to deal with, and enterprises have been trying to address since time being. And there are a lot of point solutions and processes and automations in place. But what MCP has done is it has really revolutionized how we can make these process automation function very seamlessly and reduced all those manual efforts from weeks to days, right? And what I will do is I have kind of also want to focus how both like the server and the client bring the advantage to the table, right? So first of all, the server itself becomes a single point of integration, right? So when you are hosting these servers, you're kind of eliminating these point to point interaction, and this completely helps to get over those complexities around the integration, right? And the second part is the dynamic tool discovery, which essentially enables the kind of interacting AI agent to automatically find what is the right tool set to use when and as and when required. And the last, not but the least, that you emphasized upon in your presentation, Vivin, that security is of prime importance, and this kind of also unifies the security layer because we can actually govern all those interactions that are happening with different policies and ensure that only the right person has the right access, right? And when we talk about the client, this also adds a great value because when these agents become empowered by these different MCP servers, they have a lot of access to different application which otherwise would have required manual hard coding. And at the same point of time, they have enough contextual intelligence to cater to different varieties of user queries, right? And at the end of the day, all these clients actually help to also bring in the modularity and scalability. So tomorrow, if you have some different function or different business process or automation or tooling that you want to add to the ecosystem, it's just a matter of including a single piece of code in the MCP configuration, and you're all set. So it's highly scalable and highly modular. So with this, I will also kind of jump into the two demo flow that we will be covering. And as it goes, the title of this session goes by, right? So we want to make or justify that whatever today we are demonstrating, all audience and everyone has kind of relevant information that they can take away. So first flow essentially is where I will try to kind of spin a MCP server using, as you mentioned in your use case too, right? There are certain processes that our customers have already created. They are tested over time and they have been using, and all it needs is to stitch those pieces together in something advanced like MCP server, right? So I'll show that how for this particular use case there are a bunch of process automation that our client has or customers have already created, and I will show that how I can spin up an MCP server where all these processes will be exposed as an actions or tools within that MCP server. And all this I will do in three simple steps. So it's as simple as like following a guided kind of a flow that can help you bring up this MCP server within minutes, right? And that would be very exciting. Second is the MCP client demonstration, where I'll also show our latest offering that Vivian you described in our conversation, right? The AI agent engineering. So where I'll show that using that service, how I can also create an MCP client, and I will try and demonstrate how I can consume a cloud hosted MCP agent that could be any MCP, any third party MCP server, right? Within the process and within the flow, so that my agent becomes more empowered to kind of address some of those queries related to lead processing. So with this, I'll jump into the demo. And as I know that most of our audience today come from a coding persona, coding background, so I would try to keep the demo on the harder side. So instead of going with demonstrating the cloud managed or infra managed MCP server, today I will show how one can. I'll show the other variant of it where you can actually create your own local instance of MCP server. And with this, let me switch to the product itself. So as you can see, currently I'm in my cloud application integration, which is our application integration service. And as you can see, I have bunch of processes automation that are related to this lead processing, right? So we have different steps which essentially comes in handy. For example, extracting data or the leads data from different source of information that we are getting. Then we have a process that actually cleanses those information, and then we have process that kind of creates an opportunity in Salesforce out of this. And there's also a process that scores the leads essentially based on your customer profile that is ideal for your product, right? So think of any organization, and many of our customers have been using such kind of automation in their day-to-day process automation for this particular use case. Now, what I will do is I'll kind of expose all these processes in a composite app using our another service which we call as API Center. So API Center is our API lifecycle management service. So what I have done is essentially I've opened these processes, and as you can see, this is one sample process, and I've just clicked on publish to API Center, and it kind of created an entry on a kind of a registry for that API within my API Center application, where I can go and kind of create a composite API. Eventually, that composite API I can use as a composite application when I am exposing as an MCP server. So as you can see, all those processes that I just showed you in application integration are now under one single REST endpoint, and all of these processes are basically endpoints are tied with those processes, right? So this is one composite endpoint, and what I can do is as I mentioned in the beginning, right, in this demo flow, all you have to do is take three steps. The first step is essentially I'll kind of download the Swagger definition or Open API specification for this particular endpoint. So let me download it right away. So as you can see, now I have downloaded it, and it's I have opened already it in my notepad. So it has all the information on all the path and all the different schema that each of these individual like endpoints would require to be in order to interact with it, right? For example, I just give you a brief overview of some of those schemas. For example, extracting the lead request would actually require the data in a binary format and of MIME type, and all these are some of those nuances of these or API specs for these operation, right? So what you see essentially as a composite API that has all those processes that are actually required to process the lead all together in one single file. So that's the part, the step one. Now, we have actually published our KB article that I will quickly want to show you, that is available on our Informatica documentation link, where you can easily go and actually go through all these steps in detail and follow it. So what we have done is in this particular article also, once you have the API definition or the Swagger definition or OpenSpec definition, what you can do is you can just copy this small piece of code in your local file, and all you have to do is basically once you have it, you have to configure the path of the file that you just downloaded. So once you provide this path, right, what it tries to do, this piece of code tries to do is it leverages some open source libraries, and FastMCP being one of them, to spin up a local MCP server for you that will have all the actions and toolings that were part of your Swagger definition, right? So what I have done is I'll go to my Visual Code, and I have already there copied this code. And what I've also done in the interest of time is I have kind of copied my entire path for that particular lead processing MCP into this, right? Now what I'll do is I'll run this, and in this, I can show you in the console itself that how quickly I'm able to bring up and expose all those process automations that were there in my system in Informatica IDMC Cloud that have been tested and tried over a period of time in just a matter of minutes. All those functionalities are up and running. Now, this MCP server is up. So in order to show like what actions is support, I will also kind of take help of Postman as a client to show you some of the tools that it exposes. You can use any of the public available or commonly used tools to kind of understand what are the actions this particular MCP server has exposed. There are open source libraries like MCP Inspector, but for the interest of time, I'll go with Postman, right? So what I've done, I'll switch to this particular MCP server. So as you can see, this is the place where I'm having my this file that I just showed you, server.py. So basically, what I'll do is I'll use like Postman client and this a standard IO protocol to connect with this MCP server. So let me connect first. So as it is connecting, what it's trying to do is it's trying to get all those details of the actions that are supported or the tools that are supported for this MCP server. I just wanted to show that all those processes that we discussed, right, that I showed you in CI now are available as tools. So, for example, strat leads is there. Then we have cleanse lead. Then we have score lead, create lead, and opportunities and whatnot. So this was our step two, where we have already spinned up a MCP server. Now I'll go to step three, where I'll use one of our popular client that most of us or most of folks coming from the coding background have been using very frequently. That's a Cloud Desktop. And as you know, this kind of is a chat client that will help me to interact with MCP server that I just hosted as deployed in my local. To configure the MCP server in my Claude, all I have to do is I have to go to the file, I have to go to the settings, and there's a particular configuration file that is there for Claude Desktop. You just click Edit Config, and all you have to do is paste a simple line of code, a piece of code there to enable this particular MCP server that you have just deployed in Claude Desktop. For the purpose of the demo, I've already kind of configured it, as you can see, and the same is also available in our documentation here that is there in the KB article. So after this session, I'll also share this link with you so all of you can go and refer to this. So this is enough for you to kind of enable this particular MCP server on your Cloud Desktop. Now I go to the chat, and as you can also verify that this particular MCP server is already enabled, I'll just try and try to simulate or mimic the typical scenario in leads processing, right? So think of a salesperson who is getting so many number of leads, and he's trying to kind of figure out who are all these leads are actually fitting with his company profile, and he wants to score them, and he also wants to create an opportunity out of those leads, right? So I have a sample set of those leads. And again, in the interest of demo, we have kept the sample very small. So there are n number, like I think 3 leads here, which are, you can think of some of those sales persona might have got from LinkedIn or from different sources or maybe handwritten based on meetings. So he had just taken a note of this. So this is kind of an data which is unstructured. It might be also in images and whatnot. So what I will do is I'll say, I'll ask my MCP or maybe issue a command to this particular Claude client that can you extract the leads from the attached file. Okay, now I'll just give this file as attachment. So this is the file, and let's see. So as it is running, right, and I will also show you this in action, that how it is triggering our application integration. So this is our console, and I'll just refresh this. So let's see. Yeah, so it is trying to figure out. So as you can see, this process is already triggered. The extract data for you that is using our DI capability to kind of parse through this particular structure and get the leads out, right? So let's see how quickly it can get that the leads passed and be available in the chat. It has executed this particular extract lead action and triggered this action, and it knew that this particular action will require this in a binary format, and it has figured it out from the schema definition and everything. So I need not to worry about the contract and when I'm invoking these different APIs or different endpoints and different tools. So the MCP server actually enabled this particular client to itself figure it out intelligently what kind of payload will be required, and it kind of was able to extract all these leads. As you can see, it has very accurately kind of and in a very structured manner pointed out and extracted the leads. So that's one part done. Now let me do one more thing. Let me ask it to clean the leads. So I'll ask, can you please uh, clean the lead data? Let's see. So probably there could be in a typical a practical scenario, leads which are duplicates. There could be some of the data that is corrupt and whatnot. So what it would do is it will try to remove those kind of I would say uh, uh, like errors and the quality issues from the data, and it will also try to course like kind of heal the data if something that it is able to figure it out on its own that it requires to heal. And based on that, as you can see here, it is able to kind of come up with some edits and proposed quality data. So what I would see here is now that it has come up with this assessment report, and what it is saying is that some of these phone formats were not right, data standardizations required in the names and titles and whatnot. So it has taken a stab at it, and it has kind of tried cleaning the leads as well. Let me see if has so you can see here that it has actually invoked this particular process to achieve the cleansing. So my leads are clean now. Now what I will try to do is issue a command to score them based on my business logic. So can you score these leads? So what I expect is that based on this sample, right, and again now it has identified the appropriate action to score the leads. And what I expect is that once my leads are, and as you can see here, it's showing some of these things that is processing in action as well. So that's what this particular console is. So now what I'll see is that these leads based on my particular product it are also getting scored. So I would be very quickly able to get to a lead that could be a potential a customer and has a conversion opportunity, right? So it kind of takes away all those manual work and hours of working identifying the right lead and right kind of opportunity, and it kind of optimizes the entire process, right? So let's give it some time to while it is identifying or scoring the leads based on different parameters that have been kind of coded in my process. So here it is. So we have the results out, and as you can see here, that John Connor has got the highest lead score, 9.2, and pretty much that was expected because he's a decision-making body, he's at CEO level, and so on, and so does David Lee, and also it seems to me that all these sample that I took of our three leads are good, and all are qualified for my business. So what I will do is next is using the same MCP server, I'll ask them to go and create Salesforce opportunity. So can you create Salesforce opportunity for these leads? And that's it. So this is my leads to opportunity kind of, and it has again identified the right action to invoke. And this kind of will complete my leads to opportunity use case where I got a bunch of leads from different sources, and I was able to kind of convert them, score them, cleanse them, and finally create opportunities of the relevant leads. So typically this would take a week or more than a week kind of effort, but with help of this particular automation and leveraging the MCP technology, I have been able to kind of reduce that time to a matter of minutes. So once done, and I'll parallelly show you that what process is trying to invoke. So as you can see, the create opportunity Salesforce is invoked, and it will actually create all these leads in this my Salesforce CRM, right? So that's kind of concludes the first flow or the demo flow, right, where I wanted to end, and that's the outcome, right? So the leads are opportunity are created in Salesforce, and this concludes the first demo flow. Now I will switch gears and I'll go to the second demo flow, which was more oriented for MCP client. And for that, I will be using our new service, which is AI Agent Engineering. So let me switch the context. So yes, in the second demo flow, what I will show you how you can configure an MCP client, and for this I will be using our leveraging our new introduced service, which is AI Agent Engineering. As Vivin spoke about earlier, it kind of gives you entire platform and one single solution to build your agents, like manage them with confident, and also connect to different applications, current to different other agents using different protocols, MCP being one of them. So let me switch to the designer canvas, and for the purpose of the demo and to kind of keep it little simple, what I have done is I have already created a agent flow, and a typical agent flow will have three major components. So as you can clearly see in this particular canvas that it has a LLM model. So you can select any LLM model of your choice. So we kind of support most of the prominent used LLM in our canvas. And then it has a planning prompt. So planning prompt is to kind of define the scope of this agent, like what this agent has been purposed to do and what goal it has been mandated to solve. And then there are a bunch of tools that I have already configured. And just to give you an idea, it's as simple as that. You search a tool and you have to just select available tooling, and that's it. And your tools are kind of integrated with this particular planning node. So now what I will do is I'll also show you just for your understanding that how I am trying to create this agent. Probably this is little a short of description, but I would say that this is enough for this particular agent to understand what all actions it needs to take in order to kind of automate the lead processing. So I have just given few input, like what all the tools that are there and what is your goal for particular scope for this particular use case. Now, what I have done is, as you can clearly see here, I have configured an MCP client tool, and to configure this, what I have done is I have used one cloud-hosted MCP. That too, I have taken a random sample from the net. I can show you some of those actions that this MCP supports. So this particular MCP, which is cloud-hosted, this is I have taken. What it does, it kind of gives you, first of all, let me connect to this cloud MCP server. So it has bunch of actions which are essentially about doing an kind of a web search. So what it does, it kind of uses one of the search engine to scrape the web for some relevant information. And this is the particular server that I will be using and configuring as a client in my agent, AI agent engineering. So as you can see here, I have already kind of provided the necessary details, and it's very simple. It's a wizard. I would say just a couple of fields you have to fill in, and your client tool is all configured. And I'm using the same client tool here. So essentially, in a lead processing demo scenario, sometimes the data that you receive from for the leads is not having enough or not is not complete. So it would be having some missing information that probably salesperson has to go and fill in manually. And as part of this demonstration for the MCP client, what I can show you is that all this filling of missing data can be automated just by including another MCP server as a client tool in this particular agent flow. Now, this particular service also gives you to even test the flows as you are creating it. So I will be using the test console to kind of try out whether this particular agent that I have created and the client that I have configured is working as expected. So in a typical and a very practical scenario, I have seen, and as a salesperson, I would be meeting so many people in my day to day work. So I have taken a classic example from it. So suppose I have met someone from IT, someone from IT background, and that is based out in UK, and by the name Sarah. So what I did it is that I am just trying to gather more information about her, that if she is the right lead for my company, and all I have given is the name, the profession, and the place she is. And I have asked my particular agent, this lead processing agent, to see that if she is a good lead and fill in any missing information, if any, right? So that's the command I issued. And as you can see, this particular agent flow goes into action, kicks into action. And based on the planning prompt and everything I provide, it started searching, and it identified that, as you can see here, it has come up a bunch of folks which are actually go by the name Sarah and are of different designation and based out in UK. And now I can maybe ask the bot to kind of go ahead with the first option. So I'll just issue command like, can you share more details about Sarah Winters? Maybe this was the profile that I was speaking of. She is the CEO of and founder of content designer and could be a potential lead for me. So what it will try to do is it will try to gather more details about Sarah Winters, and in doing so, it is actually invoking the MCP client tool, which is essentially trying to get all those information from the web search. So as you can see that it has kind of come up with the entire information about this particular lead, and it has given me all those details like what is his current role, what is the expertise. And now what I will try to issue a command is, can you score uh, Sarah as a lead? Let's see what is the lead score it generates for Sarah. So it's as simple as that I have included or configured an MCP client, and that's great, spot on. I have got a 98 percent, an excellent score or lead score for Sarah, and based on my business profile, she's a very good and high potential lead that I can now go ahead and create an kind of an account and opportunity in Salesforce, like I demonstrated earlier. So in to summarize what you have seen so far is the first flow I showed you how you can create and spin up an MCP server following just three simple steps. So that was the first flow that we looked at. And using that, we saw that how we were able to kind of expose some of those tried, tested, and existing process automations as tools in MCP server, and how we were able to kind of extract, cleanse, and kind of score the leads and create opportunities in Salesforce. In the demo 2, what we saw is that using our AI agent engineering service, we were able to configure a client, MCP client, and I was able to kind of use that client as a tool in my agent flow. And with that, I was able to kind of address the very common use case of lead enrichment. So that client was able to kind of fetch some of those lead information which was missing from the internet, and also score the lead that helped me reduce my workload of qualifying or identifying the right lead for my organization. So, with that, we kind of conclude the two demo flows for this session. I hope that you have kind of taken a note of the different KPI articles that we shown, and will be anyway sharing the collaterals after this session. Uh, I will take a pause here if you have any questions. And while we are kind of taking the questions, I will also like to invite you to sign up for our for a preview of this early access for AI agent engineering. So I'll request you, if you are interested in our new service, which I just demonstrated, please scan this code and sign up for an early access. We'll be more than happy to listen to your use case and get you onboarded on the new service.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for such a wonderful presentation. We do have time to get into some questions, so let me dive into one right now. Here's a question from our audience. What's the difference between MCP and giving an AI agent direct API access? What additional value does this protocol provide?
Yeah, that's a very great question, and it's also drives at a critical distinction of MCP. So while you could provide AI agents direct uh, API access, MCP provides several enterprise essential capabilities that raw API access lacks. Right. First, MCP creates a standardized communication protocol, meaning you write once and any MCP compliant AI system can interact with your service. So there is no more custom integrations needed for every time you have switch a LLM provider. Second, if it is implemented correctly, it can provide proper governance and audit trails. Every interaction between your AI and your system can be logged, versioned, and can be controlled with proper permission sets. And third, the MCP also handles the context management very intelligently. Instead of an AI making dozens of API calls, MCP server can provide the rich context and to rich context about operations, data schemas, and business rules upfront. So this will make sure your AI agents are more accurate. And finally, again, if done right, MCP can provide safety features like automatic rate limiting, transaction boundaries, enforce security authorization policies so that only the right people have the right access. So all this will enable our reasons why you should use MCP instead of direct API access.
It's a great explanation there, Vivin. Let's move on to one more question, and this is what I'm really interested in too. Can you share a concrete example of how other organizations are using MCP?
That's a great question as well. So while MCP is pretty new concept, it's been there only for less than a year. So we've been working with many of the early adopters in our pilot programs, and the results are already compelling. Let me share one example from a financial services client. Of course, I'll keep it anonymous for confidentiality sake. So they implemented an MCP to connect their customer service AI agents with three backend systems. They use their CRM, they use their transaction database and compliance checking systems. Now, previously, the customer service reps needed to manually check all three systems for complex inquiries, taking about 15 to 20 minutes per case. Now, with MCP, their AI agents can now securely access all those different systems in under 30 seconds, while also making sure it's secure and it's audited and it complies to their policies. And they've seen about 70% reduction in average cost in terms of case resolution time, and also like about 40% reduction in escalations. So this is one key insight, right, about how MCP is delivering real customer value to our customers.
Very well put once again, Vivin. Thank you so much. That is all the time we have for questions today, though. But don't worry, if we didn't get to yours, our Informatica team will follow up with you after today's session. Now, before we close, Vivin, Shivank, where can attendees go to dive deeper into Informatica's work with MCP?
Yeah, you can use our QR code, sign up for early access, and start building your own MCP clients and servers.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to both of you. Now, to our audience, if there's one thing to walk away with today, it's that AI doesn't have to feel out of reach. With the Model Context Protocol, you can take the enterprise systems you already rely on and, in just a few steps, empower them to drive intelligent, trustworthy automation. Think of today's session as your launchpad. You now have a roadmap to transform enterprise data into AI agents that don't just automate, they elevate how your business operates. On behalf of Informatica and DZone, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We hope you feel inspired and ready to explore what's possible. Once again, I'm Katie Pavoso. Until next time, have a fantastic day.